Did you know that the Oscars started in 1929? But they weren't the big, huge event that they are today. Back then, in 1929, they were private, small dinners with maybe about 270 people attending. The awards were announced in advance, and there was no live broadcast, no suspense. Things changed, though, in the 1930s, because that is when the Oscars moved to the radio. Radio broadcasts carrying the ceremony across the United States made it a bigger show, a bigger deal. So, for the first time, people in small towns and rural areas could hear the winners announced live. Things further changed in 1953 when the Oscars moved to television, and that changed everything. And this is why they were such a big deal for such a long time. Television was still new in the 50s, and there were only a few channels. And they were on televisions where you physically had to get up and you had to turn a knob. We used to have a TV like this with the knobs, and my mom got it when she divorced my dad, and she was very proud of her war prize that she got in the divorce, so she used it a long time, and you had to turn the knobs. So a lot of the major broadcasts aired on these TVs. When the Oscars aired, huge portions of the country were watching the same thing at the same time because they didn't have more than a few channels at that time. So people all over the country were watching the same thing. And it just bonded people. Movie stars were some of the most famous people in the world. And it was the eras of Elizabeth Taylor and Audrey Hepburn and Marlon Brando. Seeing them all gathered in one place together was so impressive to people, and it was so huge, and it was just this national event. The 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the Oscars became the biggest broadcasts of the year. Families would watch together. Newspapers covered the winners in the next morning paper. People talked about the dresses, the speech, sometimes the scandals that were going on. For a few hours, the entire country was watching the same thing and focused on the same stage of Hollywood. Now we're in the age of streaming. People are very fragmented. People don't watch the award shows like they used to. They're not the same as they were in the past. They're not this big a deal. But before social media, before streaming, the events like the Oscars created a shared national culture that doesn't exist anymore. And for decades, they were one of the biggest examples of shared national culture. They were so huge, so impressive, and it's really sad that our society's changed so much. I wish that we still had television like we did in the past where people shared culture so much.